Hi there, Laura here from Get Organized HQ, and one of the things I talk about all the time is decluttering. It is a great way to transform your home and even yourself. And I've consumed a lot of content about the topic of decluttering, but there's some hacks that I think I rarely hear people talk about. So there's some really common ones, and these are all great advice. Things like scheduling donations, how to figure out what to hold on to and get rid of, understanding the categories of clutter, all these types of things, having outboxes. I talk about that all the time. These are all fantastic. But let's think about the real reason that you may not have made as much decluttering progress as you want to. This applies to me recently. I'm just sick and tired of having any extra clutter, and we have been on a mission to we are not doing it. We are getting rid of everything that we don't need. I've just really been on a mission. And as I've been doing that, overall, it's gone really well and I get really excited. But there's been a couple times where I stopped decluttering for a few days or a week or more. And the reason might surprise you. It's because in the last decluttering session, that session made me feel bad, worse about myself, worse about the decluttering process, not better. And when things make us feel bad, we don't tend to want to do them again. That is one of the core problems with the decluttering, and one of the things that I think is actually holding up progress more than anyone might imagine. Because a lot of times we talk about the work involved. However, depending on the situation, much of my decluttering is not very intense physical labor for someone who is in relatively good health. So it's not that hard for me to go pick up an item and put it in a box. That's not what I'm putting off. Whereas, for example, if I were trying to, run 3 miles, that would be actual hard work that I was putting off because it's really hard. It's not the physical work. It's the way it makes us feel. So let's talk about how decluttering can make us feel bad and what to do about it. So why do you sometimes feel worse? And ask yourself this question if you've stalled. Is it because the last time you tried, it made you feel bad? First of all, when you start to declutter, you have to face how big your clutter mountain is. And for some of us, myself included sometimes, it's really big. And so, for example, my storage room, it's literally just a room for storage. When the door is closed and I don't go in there, I'm not thinking about how much extra junk I have in there and how I need to reorganize this and all that. But as soon as I open the door, I automatically feel 5 times worse. My heart just sinks and I'm like, oh, look at all this. How am I ever going to be able to tackle it? So it feels really overwhelming. And when we start to face it, we realize, even if I spend 15 minutes in there, I'm going to need to do that 38 more times to get it under control. So I start to feel overwhelmed with that. I also feel guilty about recluttering. I really cleaned my storage room last summer, did it thoroughly. And over time, it's gotten recluttered. That feels really frustrating. It makes me feel really bad. We also face a lot of our past decisions that weren't fantastic, and we can feel bad about those. Why did I buy that? I cannot believe I spent $128 on that pair of jeans and I only wore them once because they basically cut off my circulation. Those kinds of things. And we're I should have known that. Or I should have lost 28 pounds because then I could fit in them, or whatever we're telling ourselves that makes us feel bad. We feel bad about the wasted money. A lot of times it brings back nostalgia that could be bittersweet. Maybe someone has passed on, or we used to be really close to someone and we're not anymore. I pick up something from my college days or my high school days and I'm wow, we were just such good friends. They were one of my best friends, and I don't think I've talked to them in 15 years, and somehow that actually makes me feel bad. So there's a lot of reasons why decluttering can feel bad. And so to make progress, we need to turn it around, and we need to make it feel as good as we can. And when I'm doing well with decluttering, it makes me want to do it more. So when I start to feel good, when I start to feel like I'm really making progress, when I start to see a visual difference, wow, I opened this drawer and it looks amazing, or I open this and it looks amazing, I'm going to get this done. When I start feeling the weight of those bad decisions lifted off my shoulders because I have officially moved on, we've gotten rid of that. When we make it feel good, it's way, way easier to keep going. So how do we do that? All right, I'm just going to give you a whole bunch of ways that I think you can really help this process feel better. And give me your own down below in the comments. I would love to hear what you do to help your decluttering process be a positive experience that you want to keep doing. So number one is doing it with a friend, in person or virtually. So everything just feels lighter when we do it with a friend. So if at all possible, if you have people in your life who can do it with you, maybe it's someone in your household. Like, my spouse will sometimes help me declutter. We'll work together. You'll do it faster, especially if it's someone who has their own clutter in your house. They can also declutter. But just having someone there with you to talk through it, to work through it. When I tackled my very disastrous storage room last year, I had, I think, 3 other people here helping me. You would not believe how much faster it went. Like, I went in there and I was overwhelmed. We just got everything out. We were able to sort it really fast. I was able to make really fast decisions and fast progress. So if you can do that, that is fantastic. If you don't have someone that you can have, kind of help in person, you can do this virtually. You can FaceTime somebody to help you go through it. Or I often will send a picture to my friend and be like, is this necklace dated? Or does it look like, is it in style? I really don't know. So you can, ask for feedback and advice. You can also get lots of support online. You're already watching this video, so you're already getting help. That way, there's lots of groups you can join. We have Declutter University, where we walk you through the whole process, and we're all using the same method so that you feel like you are not alone. So there's a lot of different online ways of getting support, and just realizing that you're not the only one who has clutter to deal with. It's very normal. Almost everyone has it. And so you're not alone. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to feel bad. This is a normal part of life that we'll need to be addressing our clutter. Something else that can help, all right, this is gonna sound funny. Either selling your things so you're motivated to earn money, or giving yourself permission not to have to go through the hassle of selling them. It depends on your season and you. If you are someone who is ultra frugal and is going to try to list 1 trinket on Facebook Marketplace and answer 28 inquiries and have 6 people not show up for a 25-cent item, then you probably need to give yourself permission to not have to worry about that and add that to your plate. On the other hand, if you are someone who has some things that are of some value, there's something you're really trying to earn and you're gonna get some money for it, then that being able to sell the things might really, truly motivate you. It has done so for me, and especially my kids who are motivated by money, to just get rid of some things, sell them, and we have enjoyed using that money for fun things. This one's a little out of the box, but sometimes pretending like you are doing this for someone else. So when I pretend like it's not my clutter, like someone has hired me to help them in my mind, it kind of helps me release those feelings of guilt, because I'm just picturing, well, someone's hired me to help them with their clutter. I can't believe they let this much clutter, but I'm not thinking about myself. I know it's a little weird, but try it because it really can work. This one is super important. Declutter according to your own personality and organizing style. We have a whole quiz that's going to tell you what your style is. I'm a sunflower, and this means that you're going to declutter either all at once, or in bigger chunks, or in smaller chunks depending on your personality. Do you need to do 15 minutes a day or 5 items a day, or do you want to do it in bigger chunks? When you work with your own natural personality, you're going to feel better about it. If you're someone who after 15 minutes is just getting more and more overwhelmed and feeling worse and worse, then if you plan to stop, you're not going to feel bad about stopping. That was your plan. And you're going to make steady progress. Versus if you're someone who is just getting started 15 minutes in and can't wait to do the next thing, work with that. And you'll be able to have longer sessions that make more progress. Something else that can really help is rewarding yourself. There's all different ways of doing this. I mean, really simply, sometimes I just say, okay, set the timer for 15 minutes. Often I'll go longer if I have the time. And then I can sit down with a Diet Pepsi and just enjoy, a few minutes of mindless scrolling or something like that. It could also be something bigger, like a trip, an outing, something you've really wanted. When I get rid of all these things, I will now have space to get XYZ that I've been really wanting and would use. So some kind of reward can be really motivational to turn it to a positive thing. This, I think, is really, really important. I personally think that the most motivational thing that makes me feel really good is when I see the fruits of my labor, when I see progress being made. There is just almost nothing more motivating than really seeing progress. But to do this, it's helpful if you stay in one area until it's done or until you've made a lot of progress. So If you are just going around and you work for 5 minutes in this drawer and you don't even get the whole drawer done, and then you go to somewhere else and you work for a few minutes and you've done a lot. But it's hard to see that versus if I do one thing until it's done. So I'm going to go to my junk drawer and I'm going to keep working on that until it's done. It doesn't mean you have to do it in one session. Maybe you will, but it just means this is what I'm working on until it's complete. Then I have a drawer I can open and be like, oh, I love it. Start with one and then I can go to the next one. And so the more you can stay in one place, don't worry about the things that aren't decluttered. So if I was, in my kitchen and I find something that goes in my office, but my office isn't decluttered, it's fine. I'll just set it there in the office until I get to the office. But really being able to see that progress is a great tool. Also, celebrate all the progress that you make. Make it be a good thing. Celebrate that you are getting rid of it. People do this in different ways. Share it with a friend. Keep a checklist of all those different items you've decluttered. Take pictures of what you're decluttering. Celebrate how much you're getting rid of and how the spaces that you are decluttering are transforming and feeling lighter and better. Celebrate all of that. Also, really important, I talk about this a lot, celebrate everything that you don't buy. Celebrate all of the clutter that you don't bring in, the things that you kind of wanted to buy but realized that's only going to be clutter and so you didn't. Let's talk about when you encounter an item that you feel guilty about, like you bought it, it probably wasn't the wisest decision, you quote unquote wasted a lot of money on it. Here's a couple things that really help me with that. First of all, that's a sunk cost. It's already been paid. I'm not getting that money back unless it's something you can return, then by all means, go get your money back. But if it's not, then that decision is already made. Me feeling bad about it or hanging on to it isn't helping anything. That has already happened. That is in the past. And look at it as a learning opportunity. I have now learned from that. And I would think most of us would probably be the same way. When I declutter, I am far less likely to go out and buy more clutter because I just decluttered and I just saw how many things I thought I would use but didn't use as much of, or how many things I don't need. And it's just really hard after I've spent a couple weeks really decluttering to go out and buy more stuff because I'm like, it really is a learning opportunity. So look at it that way and feel good. Instead, celebrate. I am getting rid of this item. Even if it was a stupid purchase, that's fine. You're getting rid of it. That is to be celebrated. You're learning, you're improving. And here's the deal. We all do this. Don't beat yourself up about it. It could be that you bought something and you had every reason to believe that this was a very wise purchase, but due to circumstances beyond your control, it wasn't. It had the best reviews ever. I did this recently, actually. I returned it to Amazon. But I researched. I watched videos, I read reviews, and I thought I wanted this steam mop because our kitchen floor is really hard to get clean, really hard. And I was like, this is going to be the one. And this is supposed to be the best one, the one that cleans the best. It was on sale. I buy the thing. I used it once. It's fine, I suppose, but it is no better than the cheapy mop that I have. It's literally not cleaning the floor any better. It's not steaming all that well. And there's just no point in having this other device. Like I said, if it did superior cleaning or if it did the same cleaning with less effort, it would be worth it. But I sat there and I went over spots 28 times and they weren't getting that clean. So again, I couldn't have known any better. I did my homework, I researched it. It just so happened that I think it's because my floor is more porous and very uneven that it wasn't working as well. Also, I don't know. I even tried it on a flat floor and I'm like, where are all these reviews coming from? Maybe I got it bad. I don't know. But it happens to everyone. And I've also made decisions that I should have known better. For example, I have to laugh at myself. Recently, I got into the hobby of paint by numbers, which is really fun, adult paint by numbers. However, the mistake that I made, I like these. They're small, they're self-contained. When you start shopping for these, you see a lot of designs that you love. And what am I going to do when I finish this one design? I've got to have more. So I bought 4. It's been 3 months and I still haven't finished the first one because they're really big. I may eventually get to those, but I really should have bought at most 1 additional painting to have ready when I finish this one. Also, I have other hobbies. So I'm going to kind of cycle between. I think for a month, I'll be really into this kind of painting, but then for another month, I'll go to another hobby. So this was really silly of me to go ahead and purchase 4 of them. I knew better. I knew this about myself. I just got caught up in seeing all the ads and this one's really pretty. And what if I don't know why I thought I was going to magically paint really fast or something. This happens to everyone. You are not alone, and you shouldn't feel bad about yourself. Don't waste your feeling bad about yourself energy on things that are totally morally neutral. If you want to feel bad about yourself, then, feel bad about like something actual bad that you've done. But it should not be about having just made a purchase that wasn't the smartest. All right, this one is like a little bit of, do I call it tough love? I need to hear this too, okay? Like I'm not saying, I've got this all figured out, but the more disciplined and committed you are going to be, the better you are going to feel and the more excited you're going to be, because sometimes we're not making progress because we only keep at it for a couple days and it's not enough time to see the progress and the transformation. So stick with it long enough to see the progress and transformation and do whatever you have to do. Like have a friend, tell somebody, have someone be like, if I haven't texted you that I've done it, post it on your Instagram. Whatever you have to do to be consistent so you can start to see that transformation, you are going to start to feel so much better and you're going to build that positive momentum. Just having a plan helps with those bad feelings of like, you go in, you're overwhelmed. How am I ever going to get to all this? Even if your plan is going to take a while, if it's going to be a lot of work, you can say, hey, junk over there, I see you. I have a plan for you. It's fine. Versus if you have no plan at all, you just kind of don't know when you're going to get to it, it's going to make you feel worse. But knowing that, hey, you have a plan, this is normal, it's not a problem, and it's really just part of life. We never fully get decluttered. It's not like I've decluttered my whole home, I will never declutter again. This is just part of the cycle of homes and stuff. One thing that makes decluttering, organizing, those kinds of things fun for me is pairing it with some upbeat music or some type of podcast or audiobook that I'm listening to. It just makes something boring a lot more fun. Now, that said, sometimes I can't make decisions if I'm invested in an audiobook. So you need to exercise caution here. If you're going to end up sitting down and listening to the audiobook instead of decluttering, that's a bad idea. I also, this is going to sound silly, but I try to choose the right audiobook or podcast to where, like, if it's some intense thriller mystery where you have to pay attention to every detail, that's probably not the right one. But if it's some really low-key, Hallmark style romance book where you know what's going to happen by the first chapter, then if I zone out on a couple things, it's fine. So kind of choose the right one, and it depends on what you're decluttering. Some things are pretty easy to go through really, really quickly. Like other things, like my kids' clothes are usually so easy because they either fit or they don't. I know what size they are. So if I'm going through them by myself, I can be listening to something. Versus if I'm going through sentimental stuff, I really need my full brain power. At most, I might have some music on. But, or a lot of times when we're decluttering, we're also doing a lot of cleaning. Like if I'm taking everything out of the door, first of all, taking it out doesn't require any brain power. Wiping it down doesn't require much brain power. So you can be listening to something while you're doing it to make it a little bit more fun. So let me know, what ideas do you have that make decluttering into a more fun and exciting process? And if you want more inspiration, or maybe you want to listen while you declutter, I'm going to link you to my entire decluttering playlist so you can just keep watching.